You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
What you are about to hear is real. The prophets wrote of a time when the signs of the end would be seen. This is where Bible prophecy and current events collide. This is Unsealed.
Hey, welcome everybody back to Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. I am Christopher Manti. A little under the weather. Throat's a little messed up today, but we'll make it. As usual, if this is a blessing to you, I please ask you to share this video right now if you're watching live, or if you're not, if you're watching it later. If you're listening, you're out of luck, but you can still share the link to the podcast, right? Yes, you can. So please do that however you are able. And as always, your comments, questions, and concerns, what have you, are welcome. Just go ahead and type it in wherever you're watching, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, the End Time Church app, or wherever. Okay, good deal. And if this is a blessing to you, please return the blessing by giving to the ministry. This is 100% supported by viewers and listeners like yourself, and that is it. There's no other budget. There's no other church funding, nothing. We do this because we believe the Lord is in it, and he will provide the means. So you are the means. All right. And just go to wingsoftheeagle.com/donate if you can do that. And at the bottom of the screen, you see some other interesting things that may interest you as a Christian, teachings about the rapture, about the millennium, about if you're looking for a church, all that stuff can happen. Just go to the bottom of the screen. It's scrolling. However, in the description, we're going to be talking about today something that you inevitably and invariably run into when we continue this discussion that we have been on here for the past few weeks about the UAP situation, UFOs, and the government and conspiracy about it and all that stuff. The big question that keeps coming up is just a common sense one, which is why, why the secrecy? Because it seems to be extreme. And the more you learn about it, not the kooky, stuff with no evidence, but, folks who are government people, who are military lifers, who take this thing actually seriously and are sober, serious people. The more you get into it, the more you see how extreme the secrecy is. And so why? Right? I don't know if we're going to answer that, but you will maybe get the revelation that I had reading what I can about this. Maybe you folks who are military from families and stuff like that can were already informed about such things. I plead ignorance to SAPs, SAPs. I pled ignorance. I had no idea that this thing was a thing and that there are 3 different levels of a SAP, and I'll show you what that is all about. And that is how the sausage is made, you could say, about how these things stay secret and how you don't have to admit it legally or per the rules of engagement. Yeah, you don't have to admit it, and the money can go down to the black hole, and you can do illegal stuff legally, basically. I know that's an oxymoron, and sometimes it comes out, and there's examples of that. Anyway, we're going to go over it at the bottom of your video. Hey, bond servant, She's chiming in a couple of the hurricanes going to affect us all over here. Nope. No. I think, maybe perhaps a little bit in the Cape Cod or Maine, but perhaps Canada is going to get a touch of it. I think we've been spared this one. A NASA report, it did come out today, and maybe we'll talk about it next week, but short version is there's not much to talk about. It was a bunch of wasted time, in my view. Hey, T-Rex, you're supposed to be doing something important. What are you doing here? Anyways, appreciate you very much, as always. Okay. So what is the secrecy about? Again, in the description, you're going to see 2 links. One is a expose on this SAP thing, this SAP thing, written by an extremely knowledgeable and dependable gentleman named Tyler Rogoway. Also, Tim McMillan, I guess, contributed to this. When did this come out? I don't see a date, but it's from the Drive and the War Zone. It's the War Zone site. Tyler he writes about military stuff all the time, and it's all about Special Access Program, a hidden world most will never see. That's the title. Right here, the Special Access Programs in the Pentagon's ecosystem of secrecy. So again, this is not conspiracy stuff. This is actually how the government works, and it's broken down very, very well. Lots of examples, lots of very useful information. Anyway, please read that at your leisure, because that goes into a lot of details. So the other link is a book by Ross Coulthart. I put the Amazon link into that. I'll be quoting him in a second here, quoting the book, because he succinctly put the SAP issue. Okay, so the wider view of the question is, why the secrecy about some, call it what you will, exotic technology? In other words, that's the terminology right now. Exotic meaning not of mankind, okay? Or things they can't explain how it was made, how it works, outside to our understanding of the universe. Again, most people default to thinking aliens when you say that, but I caution you against that. Just don't assume that. The point is, there are, from all we can tell, and the testimonies that's been given over the past few years and the stories that have come out, that if there is, in fact, a program that has gone on for decades, used to recover and to reverse engineer exotic technologies, possibly even biological material. For what purpose would that program exist? And why would it be kept secret then? Well, the easy answer is probably the right one, which is this technology is being used by the military. That's being reverse engineered. In other words, you know what that means, right? They try to figure out how it works, breaking it down into the component parts so they can build it themselves or use some aspect of it that they didn't have understanding of before. And this is not necessarily an otherworldly thing, right? This happens all the time. If something, we get hold of I don't know, China sees an American drone, whatever, we lose a drone or crash somewhere, they'll go study it, take it apart. Oh, we didn't know we could do this. What's this thing? Let's make that now, right? It's like that. So the answer probably is the simple one, which is the military will use it for weapons. Defense purposes. So they want to keep it in the weapons sphere and not the human good, civilian use sphere to improve everyday life. They are not interested, and you can't really. It's not really a statement of morality. I mean, this is what military does. Military is concerned about defending their nation, and they're going to do whatever they have to do that. They're not interested in giving people free energy or better fuels or better communications tools or easier ways to do this and that. Their first priority is to ensure the security of their nation, right? That's reality. So probably the reason is, since this has always been a Department of Defense situation and weapons problem, is that they're using this technology to build weapons and not for civilian good. And also, if this is the case, that there actually has been a program going on for decades, that means essentially, like we said before, there is a secret, unaccountable, unelected, untraceable, as it were, government behind the government. It's a government we don't elect. It's a government we don't know what they're doing. We don't know how they're spending our money. There's no elections. We can't get rid of them. That's called a secret government. I mean, in my mind, that's the best term. So if that's the case, that there is this program and there's been a cover-up of its existence all along, then we do have a secret government since the 1940s. That's just inescapable. That's not conspiracy thinking. That's, if those things are true, then this is what it is. Okay. Now, how then is this accomplished? Okay. Again, it was new to me when I read this. I guess you just kind of dismiss it, and you'll see why this phrase is ironic. You compartmentalize it, right? You put it in a box somewhere. You don't bother to think, well, I don't care why or how the Defense Department, the military keeps things secret. They do what they do, and that's fine. And we don't want China or Russia to have it. Right? That's the answer to pretty much all of that. An enemy to gain an advantage on you. Again, that's military thinking. That's DOD, Department of Defense. That's their life. Keep advantage, have domination, dominate the space. Whether it be on the ground, the air, underwater, or in space. Now with the Space Force, that's their mindset. That's their job. So I just never bothered to think about how these things could happen, and this is why, up until recently, I had been, I had an interest in it growing up. I watched the X-Files. I thought it was cool. But eventually I just came to the conclusion, like, the government is inept, and there's no way they could keep a secret. It's just going to come out. It's too big to hide, basically. That was my assumption. And I just kind of forgot about it. Or again, until the last couple of years, but really till the summer, when now people are going on the record, under oath, who have actually worked in these things or saw them and recorded, with data and military instrumentation and all that stuff. Guys, even this whole hearing that happened in July, with the videos now that everyone has seen, with the Tic Tac video, the Go Fast video, right? The gimbal, right? Those famous, they're recorded on Air Force and, military equipment. It's inescapable. You can't explain them away. The very fact that they were acknowledged at all, that they existed, or that these things actually happened, and that they really are unidentified to this day by our military. They're not our stuff. The only reason we even know that is because it was leaked. The videos. The DOD never volunteered that. If they had their way, this would never have happened. Why? Because they don't care? Because it's weather balloons floating around? Clearly not. So anyway, so that's why we're at this point. Here's the revelation I was talking about. To me. All right, here's the quote This is from the book called In Plain Sight, pages 119 and 120, Ross Coulthart, and the link to that on Amazon is below. Here's the quote. A special access program and sensitive compartmented information, depending on if you're the Army, the military side, or the intelligence, like the CIA or Department of DOD's intelligence, whatever. There's so many acronyms. These are the things we're talking about. Here's this quote. Some black world budget projects are hidden so deep, it is a crime for anyone read into a project to even reveal its existence. I didn't know that. I thought that was Hollywood. I thought that was conspiracy theories. This is a fact. And I'm going to continue the quote here. But if you don't know what I'm saying, stop me, okay? But someone probably hears the word black world budget. That means it's secret. That means it can't be revealed. The project itself and the money involved cannot become public. And when it says read into a project, that means you as a government person, not a private citizen, but whoever they choose, we need you to know this, the need to know basis. To be read into a project means we are telling you this is the project, the overall view, and this is your part in it. This is going to be your job in it. So if you're not involved directly in these special projects, you don't know. And even if you're a superior officer or the civilian oversight, whether that be in the Congress or the Secretary of Defense or you name it, they will not tell you. Even though you outrank them, you haven't been read in, sir. I'm sorry. Huh? That sounds lawless, actually. But anyways, here's the quote. It's a crime for anyone to be read into a project to even reveal its existence. SAPs are where the U.S. Defense Department hides most of its super secret black budget classified projects. And again, this is not conspiratorial. This is how they develop like the B-2 bomber, like this. What the heck is the new one they have out there? The Raider UAV. Like anyway, these new planes, basically. Okay, these new flying things that they develop secretly so the other countries can't learn about them and beat us to them. The stealth bomber right back in the day, all the stealth technology that fell under this type of thing. So it's not as if it's made up for UFOs. It's just a fact. It's just how they operate. A further cloak of secrecy, in addition to the highest top secret security classification, an SAP designation is not actually a higher security classification than top secret. It simply means the project is compartmented, deemed sensitive, compartmented information, and designated a code name. Even the most senior military officials with the highest top secret security clearance are forbidden from knowing the details behind an SAP or SCI code name unless they are read into it. I want you to hear that part again. Like I just said, I didn't make that up. I don't care if you're the general, you're the Secretary of the Army. If you're not read into it, you will not be told about it. Now, it doesn't matter what type of clearance you have. I'm super top secret. I get to know everything. They will say no. You haven't been read into it. That's the rules. Okay? That's the way it works. I'll show you a graphic from the Department of Defense itself about what compartmentalized or compartmented SAPs look like what that means visually. Okay? Give me a second to continue the quote. So that's SAPs. That sounds pretty secret. Okay, like this is you could keep stuff in there, but there's more. There are also USAPs, which stand for unacknowledged special access programs, which means the project's very existence can and must be denied by those who know about it, and the true funding for it hidden. Wait a minute. You're telling me that if a certain agency in the government, the Department of Defense or whatever, CIA, et cetera, are cornered and are asked specifically about this UAP or the crash recovery program or whatever, and it's actually a not only SAP but a USAP, they have to deny it. That's what they're told. You must deny it even exists. So excuse me for not believing the Defense Department and intelligence officials when they deny something. It doesn't mean anything. Because if it's an SAP or a USAP, they can't admit it. They literally have to lie. It is put into their protocols that you must lie about it if you're asked. To anyone. That poses a certain moral Christian problem, does it not? Christians in the DoD? Okay, so there's SAPs, there's USAPs. True funding hidden must be denied, but there's more. An even higher protocol for the darkest black world secrets of all, waived unacknowledged special access programs, WUSAP. A WUSAP means the Secretary of Defense, that is the top, other than the president, this is the top of the food chain, right? For military intelligence. This is the boss of everyone except the president themselves. The Secretary of Defense has waived all the normal oversight laws. Did you know a secretary of anything could waive laws? So apparently the purview of law creation is now not in the Congress. The Constitution has been ripped right apart, and now a Secretary of Defense can waive laws. It's real. It exists. And they're used. It's not like some artifact. So, oh, yeah, we have this thing on the books, but it never happens. They can't tell you if it ever happens. The Secretary of Defense has waived all normal oversight laws and reporting procedures. Not only is its very existence concealed, it is only overseen, such that it is, by the so-called Gang of Eight in Congress. If you don't know what that is, it's what it says it is. It's 8 individual people in Congress, including the chair and vice chair of the House Intelligence Armed Services Committee, the Senate majority and minority leaders. That's 4 people all the time are on it. And a bipartisan elected group allowed to review WUSAPs, elected by, I assume, these other 4, bring in another 4. And it has to be both parties. Okay. This is oversight? A secret government appealing to a secret part of the government that you can't even acknowledge exists? That's the quote from his book. I highly recommend it. It's all about the litany of actual official documentations, incidents, military intelligence folks, history behind how we get to where we are on this UAP thing. Go read it. Okay. And again, if you believe that's made up, and by the way, this Gang of 8, the W waived unauthorized, what the heck is it? Waived unacknowledged special access programs. The Gang of 8 meetings that they are supposed to be have oversight of, when they do get reports or whatever or ask about it, no notes. No notes. No, there's no record. No record of it. Nothing that's been said, nothing that was said or decided is known and can never be known. What kind of crap is this? Excuse me, but this is real. Paranoia on top of lies, on top of stealing money. This is deeply embedded. Here's when I said compartmentalize or compartmented, how these SAPs work. Look at this. I'm sorry for the audio only folks. You're going to miss this graph, but boy, it's a doozy. This is from the Department of Defense, and it's actually from that article that I recommended in the beginning, the Tyler Rogoway breakdown of SAPs. It's in there. This is where it's from. He put it on there. It's a slide from the DoD. Hey Gary, join late. Give the title of the book. The title of the book is called In Plain Sight. In Plain Sight. Ross Coulthart. Coulthart. This is what an SAP is. Compartment here, compartment there, compartment there, subcompartment under the compartment, subcompartment under the compartment, subcompartment under the compartment, and under the subcompartment. Here's a project that's actually part of the bigger plan. The bigger project is up here, the umbrella. And each compartment can't talk to the other ones. Under one project, this part has to be separate from them, has to be separate from that, has to be separate from that. They cannot talk to each other. They don't even know they exist unless you're at the top. Unless you're read in, as they say, to the SAP, to the program itself, the wider scope, the full understanding of what we're trying to do, there may be only one or two or three or four people who know the whole project. And then now that's any SAP, okay, that's any secure access program. If you put the U on it or the WU on it, that's even further locks and keys, right? So it's not weird now that you know this. Here's what's the date on that? Sorry, the logo is covering it. This is from February 6, 2013, this graphic in the DoD, Department of Defense. Actual learning materials, okay? February 6, 2013. So it's a thing. It's a thing. So how could you cover up UFOs? How could you cover up a crash program? How could you cover up reverse engineering, crazy anti-gravity programs, all this stuff that physics can't explain, or we don't know how this is done. And I don't know about it. What are you talking about? I didn't work on that. I don't know anything. That can't be right. That's all I saw was this. All I saw was that. All I worked on was this. Now you see. And it's all deniable because this guy doesn't know what that compartment did. And this compartment only reports to one guy. This compartment. That's it. They only know to the boss. And the boss makes sure they all are separate. And again, if this is USAP, what is that called? Unacknowledged. I mean, this guy has to deny it even exists. These guys all work on it have to deny it even exists. They can't even say, yeah, I worked on that, but I don't know what else is involved in it. They can't even admit they worked on it. So they officially can't admit it, and the money they get has to be secret. But technically, the Congress should still know where it's going. At least some people should still know where the money is going. They just can't admit it. But then if you do this waived unacknowledged thing, so not only do you have to deny it, but you don't have to admit where the money came from. You don't have to give an accounting. And no one can ever ask. That's what you're seeing play out in like July with this hearing with the Congress people, Burchett especially, who's really going after this crazy hard, is saying things like, enough with the conspiracy. We're going to find out that the DOD is a bunch of, what does he call them? War pimps. They're unaccountable. They fail every audit. He's had enough because he's seen this. And he said, wait a minute. We're trying to get, this is a guy who used to work for you a couple, not even 6 months ago, David Grush. And we can't even get into what they call a SCIF, a secure, compartmentalized information, something or other. A room that's completely silenced. You can't take notes. You can't take your phone, all that good stuff. And they can't get into a room with him because now Grush says he's not allowed to go into one. Or they are denied. The DOD says we can't let him into one. So you can never hear these things that he's promising to tell. Come on. So all of a sudden, it goes from the conspiracy world to holy Christmas. It could very easily happen. It could totally happen. Just because people deny it doesn't mean anything. You could boldly in your face lie and still be real. The president of the United States come out to our face and say there is no such program. I've never heard of it. He's probably right. He never heard of it. Or it's one of these unauthorized or unacknowledged ones where he can't admit it. Not even the president is allowed to admit it. That's where we're at. Now, of course, if anyone had any guts and actually did use their constitutional authority to admit whatever the heck they want, as in office, right? Not after. Well, but anyways, this is where we're at, kids. SAP program is for real. And this is how it happens. This is how the sausage is made. This is how the secrets continue. And you can see if the program just keeps on going and it never has to ask for more money because boop, there it is. They could steal it from whatever part they want. About how much money are we talking about? I'll share that article that I linked to. It's ridiculous. Right, there is the oops. There is the article. Can you see it? There's the document I just showed you. Here's the oversight, how it works, dark side of an already dark world. Corruption breeds in shadowy cash-packed environments. No kidding. Where is the line of how much is involved in this? A place that is literally above the law. Area 51. I'll be darned. I thought there was nothing to that. Literally above the law. Go read this, man. I'm telling you. I must have skipped right over it. There's a part about where we actually found out how much money is. What are we talking about? Here, the space shuttle. That's the type of programs that were under this stuff. Here's I'll find the money here in a second, but look, I want you to see, this is an example of an SAP that went rogue that the government wants to forget. And this is just the one that was exposed. Go read about Yellow Fruit, 1983. Project Yellow Fruit, 1983. You will see it's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly that. They this program went around the law. There was bribery, there was theft, there was court martials when this all came out. Many laws were broken. The Secretary of Defense and the Undersecretary apparently were totally flabbergasted because they literally knew nothing about it. And how is this possible that I knew nothing about it? It's real, okay? It's not made up. This is the history of it, how Nixon basically set the stage for what we see today in classification. Credit to President Eisenhower here. He actually eliminated classification authority from 28 government entities, limiting only departments and agencies of the executive branch to classify materials. That sounds pretty good now, but then what do you know? They convinced old Nixon to. Maybe he didn't need convincing. I think this guy was all about keeping the secrets. Okay, he made that change, 1972. Anyways, so stuff couldn't come out. Anybody who wants to basically can classify whatever. Come on, give me the money. Show me the money. Here it is. Enormous amounts of money. How enormous? Well, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, the United States $81.1 billion request for classified intelligence alone in 2019. That's 4 years ago. And it's at least $18 billion every year that we have no idea where it goes, and we're never going to know. That $18 billion is larger than 9 of the next top 10 foreign nations' total militaries. Only China exceeds that amount, which is just the intelligence community's classified budget. That's it. This is just the intelligence community's classified budget, $81.1 billion. That doesn't count for the rest of the government. That's one part. $81 billion. It's bigger than every other military in the world, except for China. Do you see how committed we are to this now? Anyways, go read that article. It's long, but super good stuff in there. And sober and serious and documented, okay? This is not crazy stuff. It exists. It's real. So we have baked in secrecy, okay? And I see some comments here. Hang on. I wanted to get to 2 other things, and we'll wrap it. Actually, let me take questions now. Hey, Heather on Facebook, what's going on? Look at the public knowledge stuff, public knowledge of stuff they have created and done, and you can imagine what they could hide, or they would hide. I think you mean like just look what we can do, when it comes out. Think of the stuff we can't see. Apparently money does grow on trees. Yeah. Or maybe it's coming from a wormhole in space. Yeah, it might as well. I'm not really going to talk about the Mexico thing other than you're right. Bond Servant is asking, did you see the UFO clip from the Mexico hearing? Showed 11 or more lights seen by pilot. Yeah, that's what 11 or 12. Yeah, that part was good. It was very similar to our Navy guys giving testimony and showing the data and the recordings from UAP stuff, and it's exactly the same type of stuff. So it's not an American issue. It's worldwide. Okay, so 2 more things. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything from all our broadcast sources. I don't think so. All right. There was a interview released this week, long form on a particular fellow's channel who interviewed David Grush over months. Anyways, that's not really the point. But there were a couple of really good nuggets in there. Here are some quotes you want to remember, and this has nothing to do with the guy who put on the video or David Grush. This is way before their time. The UAP issue must be protected at all costs. When the military, that's a Pentagon thing. At all costs. When a military person says that, or a government person says at all costs, that's not a joke. All means all. All costs. No matter how bad. Got to keep it secret. Protected. National security. Here's another quote. It is treason if you reveal anything. It is treason if you reveal anything. If you're read into these things, by the way, anyone who's this is part of that article I just showed you. Anyone who signs or who is read into an SAP, no matter if the USAP, whatever level, okay, any type, whether government or a civilian, a contractor like a aerospace company or private business, who was asked to help with it, everyone must sign a non-disclosure agreement. Everyone. That means you're putting in writing, and if you don't sign it, you can't work with them. You can't be on the project. You are pledging. You're giving your word and on a legal piece of paper now. You will not say anything about what you're doing. Right? That's how SAPs work. That's how they keep their secrets. Okay, anyways. So if you do reveal anything, not only that, it's treason. Treason. Not just you're going to be court-martialed or you're going to be fired. You're going to be, you're not going to get a pension. All right, that's kind of threatening. But it's treason. You know what the word treason means? Death. Death penalty. Death penalty. Period. You're threatening guys with death. Yeah, anyone who's told it's treason if you say this is being threatened with murder. That's it. And that's the secrecy level. That's why people are afraid. That's why they don't want to say. They either believe it is treason or they're at least told that it is, and they don't want to take their chances. And this is from several decades ago. People were interviewed, and generals and stuff. It says the classification of UAPs, UFOs, recovered crafts, reverse engineering their technology, which has been going on this whole time. Classification on that is higher than the H-bomb was. Higher than the H-bomb? If you don't, what is that? The hydrogen bomb? That's the thermonuclear. That's the makes the regular nuclear bombs look like nothing. Exponentially larger nuclear weapons when that was being developed in the 50s. If you saw the movie Oppenheimer, or if you know about the story, if you've read or whatever, followed it, that was right from the beginning. One of the guys on the crew was thinking, wow, we can do actually this thermonuclear thing instead. Like, how could you possibly think it's higher than that? Like, what could be higher than that? Yeah, we want to get to this first, and we're going to actually build it. Okay, that's bad enough. But now we got to make sure no one else knows. The Russians better not do this. They better not beat us to it. Or the Germans, certainly before in World War II, that's when the Manhattan Project was created, right? By the way, Manhattan Project was the template for what became known as SAPs, right? The government as a whole did not know about it. The public never knew about the Manhattan Project. Only certain people knew. Only a very, very small number knew the whole plan. Knew that the project was develop a nuclear bomb before Hitler did initially. Then the war came to an end. They kept working on it, keep it out of the Russians' hands. Right? Only a few people knew that. Scientists who were on the ground kind of knew it, right? But that was it. Had to be total secret. Different places, compartmentalized, right? Compartment here, compartment there. Chicago over here, New Mexico over here. By the way, the very famous Roswell, New Mexico crash, you know what was right next to that famous site? Nuclear testing ground. I mean, like, so they've always tied these issues together. The H-bomb, the nuclear weapons, the most destructive weapons in history that we must have dominance with. We must have this, and we must keep it from our enemies. If it's higher than the H-bomb, then they're going to use this stuff. Look at the Atomic Energy Act of 1954. I can't show it to you because I don't have it as a separate image. Maybe I do. Hang on. No, I do not. Sorry. I'm reading from the Atomic Energy Act, 1954. Now remember, one of the consistent characteristics of UFOs or UAPs, exotic materials, things flying around in the ocean and in space and in the sky, is they have a radioactive property. Chapter 6 of Atomic Energy Act 1954. The heading is special nuclear material. Special nuclear material, not the standard stuff. The commission may determine from time to time that other material is special nuclear material in addition to that specified in the definition. Before making any such determination, the commission must find that such material is capable of releasing substantial quantities of atomic energy and must find that the determination that such material is special nuclear material is in the interest of the common defense and security. In other words, the genesis of this whole situation, for if this stuff is true and there is a program and they have stuff and they have crafts or they have materials and they have metals and they have whatever, and they can't ever admit it, this is why. It's actually put right into the Atomic Energy Act because it's classified as special nuclear material. Everything that's recovered has has radiation, has some kind of nuclear property in that definition. Every recovery, every downed craft, every piece of orbs, all of that stuff that you could think of would fall under that. So it's automatically classified, automatically. That's the reason why you can't just admit they're real, that we have a program, that we see them flying around. They have to be forced to admit it. It has to be leaked and shown to the public. Then they can, well, boy, what do we say? This is all made up. Well, our own military guys are confused because we're not telling them anything, so they don't know. When the fact is, we've been seeing these guys for decades, and yet some Navy pilots out in California or in Virginia are now encountering them on their training runs. What are we going to do about this? Now we're kind of against the wall. Well, we're going to have to say we don't know what it is. Even that's a lie. I mean, really, if this is serious, it's like a half-truth. Yeah, we don't know how they're doing that. We don't know how they're flying like that. We don't know whose they are. It's not America's. We don't know what country they belong to. So they're unidentified. And that's just stays there. And the mystery remains, right? I guess I'll read this one other quote. It's kind of salient to this, maybe. maybe to the beginning, we said, why would they keep the secret? Because they want to make weapons. And they're not too interested in helping normal people doing, to live better lives or to live longer or to have transportation or energy that we can never imagine for civilian use. It's got to be military use only. Ben Rich, CEO of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Skunk Works, and I'm going to tell you, you don't have to look it up. The Skunk Works was a part of Lockheed Martin, the aerospace company, or Lockheed initially, that contracted with the government on these SAPs. They were read into these programs, at least part of it, to test out and to create new novel ways of propulsion, like rockets and ships and crafts, and how do they fly, new sources of energy, and all these kind of crazy experiments. And they would get information or get a piece or a part or be shown something, and like, oh, now here, do something with that. Anyway, that's what Skunk Works was about. The CEO, Ben Rich, said, this is back in the, I don't know how long ago, but he says, we already have that. We're talking about, we need this. Maybe we can go to the stars one day and whatever. We already have the means to travel among the stars, he said, because these technologies are locked up in black projects. But because these technologies are locked up in black projects, it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity. Whatever that means. How do you travel among the stars? What are we talking about here? Among the stars. They're pretty far apart. You're going to need some new transportation methods. You're going to need some type of wormholes. You're going to need some type of time travel. You need some type of extra dimensional capabilities to travel among the stars. This guy's saying we already have it, but it will never come out for any other purpose other than war. But I found it interesting that he says it would take an act of God to get them out. He might be, I don't know if he believes in God or whatever, or he's a Christian or not. I have no idea. But it struck me when I read that maybe that's exactly what we're witnessing now. That we're seeing God himself is making sure these darn things come out. Okay? Like Jesus said, nothing is hidden that won't be revealed. Nothing. That won't be disclosed, actually, is one translation, disclosed. And that's what we all talk about, right? This whole topic is disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. Admit it, come out with it, tell the truth, disclose. That's what folks maybe were clamoring about the NASA thing today or the Mexico thing yesterday, day before, and more hearings and all this disclosure. Well, the Lord promised we're going to have it. He didn't promise when exactly before he returns, but it's coming. And so maybe what we're witnessing, what we're now learning, the average person's finally seen behind the veil, at least of the secrecy. Maybe we're in that process. Maybe it won't be so long now until we actually see behind the SAPs. Not UAPs. The UAPs behind the SAPs, special access programs, actual way it works, unauthorized, what's the U one again? Oh, I can't. Unacknowledged. And you have to deny it or else you go to prison or killed. Official government policy. Or waived unacknowledged, where not even the Congress knows about it. Only 8 individual human beings have any type of idea what's happening. Can you believe this? It's real. It is real. Okay? So, not so much about specifics today, but why the secrecy, like the why behind this. Why would the government do this? How could they possibly keep such a secret? Like, Like I said earlier, right? That's what I used to think. How is this even possible? There's no way. They couldn't keep this. You can't keep a secret from anything. Somebody wants to reveal and get rich or write a book or whatever. It's going to come out. It's going to be flying around the air. Somebody's going to see it. Now, we see the mechanism about how it could be kept. And evidence is just being common sense about it. What all that we can see, all I can see about this is it's not conspiracy realm anymore. It's fact that it is being concealed. Something is about UAPs and this program by the DoD, the intelligence community, and so forth, through these SAP programs. It's just real. It's what's going on. Now, why would they decided to keep it a secret? So here's the reason why. They want to have weapons. And maybe it's just as pathetic as it's embarrassing. That it's better to continue the secret than to reveal it and come clean and realize we've been doing illegal stuff for decades. And I was okay with it. I don't know. I don't have any answers, but now we do have maybe an answer about how secrets are kept, maybe a little bit of why. And here's the thing, guys. Maybe now we're talking about, okay, well then is there some kind of understanding? Is there a deal where whatever the intelligence is behind these vehicles, and that's all we're talking about right now, or the phenomenon, because they disappear, because they go underwater, because they make strange things happen, all that stuff, whatever the intelligence is behind it, and there is one, that's what we got as Christians. We've got to acknowledge that. Did that intelligence, apparently they want to stay hidden. Right? It would be super easy just to not be hidden. You just have 1,000, craft off of around the White House, and you're out. Okay, you announced yourself. But apparently, whatever it is doesn't want to be known, and they have. You could see, well, maybe there's some kind of agreement with the U.S. government. You will not tell anyone about us, about this, and that's it. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe there's some consequence they've been told. Who knows? We just got to think long and hard about it. But again, the bottom line of all this, why am I doing this? Why am I talking about this stuff? Yes, of course, there's Brother Gary. It's just part of the reasons I spend more time in daily prayers. Well, praise God for that. We should. It should drive us to prayer, but to understand that we as the church, as Christians in this part of the age, it's incredibly important that we use our divine revelation, right? Our understanding of the Holy Spirit and the scriptures, and spend that time in prayer so we can be with each other, so we can be effective communicators. We can be welcoming. We won't laugh at people who talk about this stuff. If something, world changing does, come from this thing, many people will, their faith will be completely shaken. They're going to want to leave the Lord in, a second, because they were wrong. They were never told about this. They were never given any type of ability to talk about it with their pastor or with other believers. And I guess they just don't care about me. It's all bogus. And you know what? Hey, maybe they're seeing aliens and all this, and they're seeing, intelligent life controlling these things. And it's actually, they're just defaulting to the Hollywood script, which is they're from another galaxy, they're from another planet, whatever. And they actually created mankind, that whole atheist fantasy. That's the kind of thing we're going to run up against if it goes that way. Right? Is that, well, this obviously this is our creators, right? That's your real father type of thing versus God. So be prepared for all that stuff. It's all I know. Here's a good question. So yeah, guys, put whatever question you got right now. What will they do when the UAPs or whatever decide to make a mass revealing? I think we just said that. What if that happened against all costs? In other words, keep it secret at all costs. Well, you would think that there would be no disagreement. Like the again, it seems like the what the facts are telling us is that these things are real. They don't know. They're not our stuff. That we don't know what they are, how they're doing it. And there's some kind of understanding that we won't reveal you and you won't reveal yourself. Other than, whatever this temporary, couple of minutes of lights or showing up at a nuclear launch site and hanging around and turning off the missiles and going away type of stuff, which happened. Yeah. So the all costs against all costs thing, or at all costs keeping the secret, to me, that using that language would kind of tell me that they're afraid to reveal anything because of what would happen. If they're not human tech, the reaction would be beyond crazy. That's right. Right. In the church. I'm just saying, right? The average Christian, let's say it comes out that, yep, you saw flying around in that Navy video, the Tic Tac. Let's say, we've recovered that, and we didn't make that. Humans did not make it. We know for a fact. Here's the proof. Here's the evidence. Here's our records on it. Here's when it happened, and we just have been keeping it from you because we don't know what to do with it, or maybe because they told us not to say. It was understood that we're not to reveal anything, but here you go. Yeah, there's implications for that. What do you mean we didn't make that? I mean, someone or something with more technical understanding of engineering, materials, physics, the universe, maybe a far better understanding of our world or the universe, is responsible for them. And that's what we're seeing. Imagine that reaction. What would that be, right? Bond Servant says, I know there's talk of CERN opening a dimension, whether true or not. Makes you wonder how much truth there is to the idea. Honestly, it does not make me think that at all, because this is now, again, the consistent pattern is that the secret has been kept for now 80 years, far before CERN was a thought in anyone's mind. So, you mean like maybe we're trying to respond to that and looking at them as an enemy or an adversary, and to try to find the technology to do what they do so we can respond to them? Is that what you mean? That maybe I could, logically, I could see that as the true intention of CERN is actually to help us fight back. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's why the secrecy. That's the episode here for Unsealed. And the official podcast, Wings of the Eagle. If this has ministered to you, please support the ministry who brought it to you and myself and the work that we try to do here for you. Obviously, everything is completely free, other than if you want to take a class, like below, you see the Rapture or the Millennium. Those are courses. We have a book, Flee to the Mountains, all about end times and what we are supposed to do in it, the church. Gentiles. That's probably you. So go to wingsoftheeagle.com, find all this stuff. And these materials are nominal fee, very nominal. There's a course attached to this as well. And if you get the course work, there's far more material in it, and you get the book for free. Anyways, just want to let you know about that. And maybe you're looking for a church after all this. Maybe you're like, boy, my church doesn't talk about this stuff. Let me go somewhere where it does. Well, I happen to lead a church called End Time Church. We serve there with Dr. Anderson and Taryn as worship leader and a bunch of other awesome folks. Check that out Monday nights and all week long at endtime.church. Okay, we love you so much. Until next time, friends, this has been Unsealed. Lord willing, be back again sometime next week. Who knows what's coming next? Buckle up.
To hear previous episodes, to obtain resources, and to support this ministry, visit unsealedpodcast.com.
Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved.